All right, everybody. So welcome to today's education session. It's a special education session in the sense that it's not just coming from me giving you guys some insights in education. This is taking success that somebody's had in a particular topic. We're going to introduce Jesse in just a second. I think one of the most valuable things that can be brought to the table to you guys is bringing people that have had success with struggles that you guys have had, or topics where you've, questioned like, how do I go and solve that problem? Or maybe it's a topic where you just haven't thought about it. But getting somebody on the call that's been there, that's done it, and is doing it, it doesn't mean necessarily that the person has got everything, nailed down. It doesn't mean that they're not working through some stuff. I mean, welcome to business. But that they're able to share insights with how they've approached things. And so today I want to introduce you to Jesse Meeks. Jesse's going to tell you a little bit about himself in a second, about his company, a little bit about his journey. And the topic that we're focusing on today is really how did Jesse go about incentivizing his team from you can call it a profit sharing perspective, based upon performance. We're going to get into all the details of what does that actually mean. But how did he how did he come up with this? What were the problems that he had? How has putting this into place improved his business and his leadership? And in conjunction with that, it is part of the same topic. But what Jesse brought to the table was what was called a leadership oath. As far as building this strong culture. So now I'm going to introduce you, Jesse. Jesse, thanks again, bro, for coming on this call today. It's awesome to have you.
Yep, no problem.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Jesse. Tell us where you are. Tell us about the type of business you've got. A little bit about your journey, and then we'll talk about like what brought us to this. You working on this topic.
Based out of Jonesboro, Arkansas, which is northeast part of Arkansas. Got another office in Kansas City, and in the process of starting another one up in Memphis currently, slowly. Started with PFC in April. From April to now, I have one person in my management team out of me plus 10 that is still with us. The other 9 come and gone within that since last April. Married, got a kid on the way, 14.
That's awesome.
And it's been an eventful journey, and continuing to face challenges, but without challenges it'd be boring. So
you got it, man. You got it, bro. So let's talk a little bit about let's just be clear. I want to hear from your words. Let's not get into in this very moment the why behind it. We're going to talk about that in a second, but how would you describe this new approach? What would you call it? Would you call it profit sharing? What would you call it? Incentivizing? Like what, how would you name it?
Honestly, I'd probably say more involvement. I mean, the idea, I guess you could say incentivizing, the idea was to get people thinking that control the money of the game like I do. If I give them some skin in the game,
yes,
then they start thinking. And there's a ton of success stories. I say a ton, several with thousands of dollars that I didn't even do. They took it upon themselves and done.
I love it. Before we go deeper, are you going to be able to share any of those? Any documents on that front today?
It's all in the. I put it in the chat and then in the Facebook event.
Oh, you did? Okay, cool.
Yeah, people can click there to get them. Jesse was kind enough to share.
Yeah, I've got them in the Google Drive. Now, if you're in my competition, you can't look at them. That's for sure.
Okay, cool. Okay, so if you're part of Jesse's competition, get off the call, or we're sending ninjas after you.
Make sure I want you to bring up later that thing about when you had Bree go investigate the competition.
Yeah, I'll bring that up.
Don't forget about that.
Okay, so stay tuned here. Let's do this. So I'm just going to show this to you guys so you know what's going to be coming down the pipe. So Jesse, what we'll do is once we get to a point where there's a particular, a tool that we want to reference. Okay. I'll pull this up and then you can just tell me which one. Are these going to help us today? This stuff?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, cool. All right. So let me stop the share. All right. So tell us a little bit about, some of the problems. Okay. Like just more specifically, like what were some of the core issues that were going on in your company? Maybe we can break it down into certain segments. Like let's maybe just talk about, the team. Like what were some of the challenges that were happening with the team prior to putting this in place that made you go, we've got to do something different here?
Carelessness. That was a big one. Just not realizing that 2 couplings is a cost. Cost. People not realizing what true cost is, back costing, realizing what true back costing is. Organization in the field. Guys didn't have any skin in the game, so them not being 100% organized, which was part of management's problem and fault. Another problem was, how do we simplify it without it being so complex? Make this easy for them to obtain something, but we get a big return out of it.
Right.
Some other problems that was challenging was getting them to understand what they control. They don't realize, but most of you got about a 40-30 split. You usually got about 40% labor, 30% materials that is controlled by the foreman in the field. Getting them to understand that you actually have control over cost, you can make or break a job. The other thing was the leadership, how to lead. There's different varieties of leadership, starting from an 18-year-old to a 50-year-old. How do you lead those individuals? How's your approach? We have leadership meetings once a month to go over that and issues they're having with a certain individual. Manpower, that was another thing. I need to hire. You didn't need to hire. Our payroll was skyrocket, and that was one challenge I noticed when my payroll come to me and be like, here's your payroll report, and it'd be over $100,000, and I don't understand why it's this way. The big thing that really opened my eyes is I went on a job, and I sit on that job for 10 days. I took it over, sat on it. It was a 7-story Embassy Suites, and I seen a lot of the problems that was going on in the field. I got out into the field, and I took it over, and I was running it. I seen the problems, which helped, which brought me back to everything that he's fixing to share. That's what I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure there's more problems.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and pull some more out. Okay, is that fair?
Yeah.
Now, let me just see here. So when we're looking at this right now, can you see my little screen?
Yep.
Okay. So need to hire when we didn't need to hire, right? So like additional costs, and effort, lack of efficiency, correct?
Yep.
Waste, lack of leadership, lack of, some of this sort of goes hand in hand, but, lack of independence, like constantly, having other people try and solve the problem versus themselves, true?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. What about culture?
That was, when we done the culture thing, it really worked on the management level, but it never got distributed down to the field. We had guys that didn't want to work here that would quit, so we had a lot of turnover.
Okay.
So you can have a good culture, but if it's not from the bottom all the way to the top, it's not a full culture. Let's put it that way.
Right. Okay. Now with leadership, leadership and ownership do go hand in hand, but really it was also a lack of ownership, right?
Oh, 100%. Excuses.
Right, which is equal to excuses, yeah. Okay. And you know, when you look at this, guys, just at a micro level, let me just go down here. Really, if you were to look at this, I mean, Jesse, you might have seen this before, but I mean, we'll just highlight this so we can amplify a little bit of this discussion, because I want to talk about, you know, some of the outcomes as far as financial, time, things of this nature. But really, you get, if people don't have ownership and they don't have the leadership, right, they play what I call below this line, right, which is blame. Tell me if I'm on the right track here. Excuses, right, and denial. Would you say that some of that stuff was happening?
All three of them was happening.
Yeah. Okay. So, you know, guys, just to be clear, like, if you look at this leadership model above this line, right, is responsible. Let me just change it. So responsible, accountable, responsible, accountable, and taking ownership, right? Okay, so, you know, Jesse, you've always wanted your team to play above this line, right?
100%.
Right, and net, we end up getting, you know, below this line is this victim mentality, right?
Yep.
And above the line is I look at it as the victor. True. Actually, it's a victorious team, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's talk about some of the again, guys. Like, you're like, okay, well, how did this come to be? It's really important that you understand the impact, okay, before we spend too much time on the solution. And the reason for that is that if we don't get clear on the impact, then you're not going to see it as much as far as value to, you know, like the why behind Jesse doing this. Okay, so when we look at this, let's talk about examples of money being wasted. Let's just talk about that. Let's talk. I want you to talk about, and if there's a spreadsheet or something or anything at this stage, just give me the heads up. All right, dude?
Yeah, there's a manpower spreadsheet that'll go along with some of this.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to turn off my little picture pages here. Let me just do that. Okay, start share. Okay, so let me go to here. Actually, I'm just going to share this here. Let's share the whole thing. Then I can just go into here. Whoops. Wait a second. Let's put that. Sorry about that. Okay, so let me see if I can pull this back up. No, it's not working. Just a second here. I'll go back to the link. Give me a second, guys. Medium shared. Cross our fingers. And abracadabra. There it is. Okay, so which one of these? The manpower schedule?
Yeah, that'd be it.
Okay. So as I'm opening it up, tell us a little bit about some of the issues as far as cost.
So you made a comment to me, it was a long time ago, and you actually never got into it. You just made the comment and we got off. But that comment was more or less needing to hire. How can you hire without hiring? Which meant, what are we doing less efficient we can make more efficiently to get an extra 2 hours or an hour a day out of 6 to 8 people, and you just hired your one guy without making your costs go up.
Yeah, so let me just pause on that. So everybody, here's the theory, okay? So when we look at this, before we go to hire somebody, okay? And I think I used some analogy, something like this. I said, okay, so if we're looking at a lack of resources, especially if we're looking at guys in the field, okay, everybody? And you'll see why in a second. And let's just say that we had 10 employees. By the way, you don't have to have 10 employees for the math to work. It's the same principle, okay? But I'm just going to use simple numbers here. I said to Jesse, I said, Jesse, I think it went something like this. You correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I was dreaming. I don't know. I said, Jesse, before you go and hire people, like you're telling me you need to hire like 10 people and this, and you're like, yeah, I need more people. I said, okay, just out of curiosity, do you think that, and you know, Jesse, by the way, guys, has 100 plus employees, okay? And that's part of the reason this came up. And I said, well, do you think that there's a lack of systems and leadership? You know, there's areas whereby these guys could, you know, that if we put it in place, that we could improve their efficiency by 10%. And what did you say?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you said 10%.
Yeah.
What do you remember the number?
No, I don't remember the number.
So Jesse says something. I got terrible memory, man, for picking up milk at the store, but I got good memory for this stuff. So he goes, Andrew, there's such a lack of leadership. Now, remember, Jesse, this was back when you had that partner that was like terrible to the business, okay? Like just him alone, true? True? His lack of leadership, like Jesse used to have a partner, just his lack of leadership. Jesse's like, this guy, I'm going to tell you right now, Andrew, the jobs that he's running, the jobs that he's doing right now, probably 30% waste, lack of efficiency because of lack of leadership. True?
Yep.
Okay, so guys, imagine it's only a 10% increase. So ask yourself this. If you were able to improve the efficiency of your guys by 10%, the same employees, in theory, which is fact, you just gained one employee. It didn't cost you anything. So when Jesse was dealing with 100 people, whether it was 10%, 10 extra guys, 20%, 20 extra guys. So what we're about to talk about now, I want you to understand the impact of this, guys, everybody on this call. Okay, it's a multiplier effect. So if you got 5 guys and you can increase their efficiency by 20%, you just gained a guy for free. And ask yourself this next question. How much billable hours is even one person worth to you out in the field? Oh, I forgot to tell you. If your team's already trained, you don't have to onboard this person because you never had to even go put an ad out. They're already there as the efficiency of your team, right? Jesse, good? Okay.
Good example, this spreadsheet that's on here, there used to be 65. We're doing the same volume of work and there's 39 total.
No freaking way.
Yeah, we systemized it. We split the guys up accordingly to what was needed. We put guys who work well together. It took this spreadsheet with a mastermind of about 9 foremen. Took us about 3 different meetings to figure out what was the best approach.
So you went from, what was the number, 60 what?
There's roughly, I said 69. I would say right between middle of 65. Because before I said that, I'm thinking there's 61, 62, but say there's 65, it was over 60, and now there's only 39.
Okay, so look at this. So 65, everybody, guys. So I had no clue about this. Now there's 39. So here I just did the theory, and sometimes people on the call, and like I'm not bashing anybody, I'm just saying the brutal realities. Like I don't know, Andrew, that applies to me. I just did that example, and now Jesse's like what? What's the percentage of that? Freaking crazy. 39. Just a second. 65. I'm going to do it. Okay, what else, Jesse? What else were some of the things? Like, let's talk about like how much would an employee cost you on average?
On average, total cost probably $20 an hour on average. So if you got 65.
So by the way, just to let you know, 40% reduction, Jesse.
So that's roughly $20,800 a week.
Okay. So you're talking 20K a week. What for 20K a week for those people?
Yeah, this is out of one division, by the way. This is not all three divisions. This is just in the Northeast Arkansas, Memphis area.
Okay, my math is right because I have to do it a couple times because it's even blowing me away. Everybody ready? $1 million in savings. Jesse, did you know that?
1,081,600.
$1,081,635.
1,081,600.
Dude, that is crazy. Crazy. You see, guys.
Not only that, Andrew, but then you look at the back costing involved. Your payroll's down less. Your unemployment's down less. The management of 65 guys versus 39 is less. I mean, the complexity of the situation dwindled down. We have a manpower meeting once a month. We project out at minimum 4 weeks, depending on job schedules. Dropped us down from 65 to 39. Made my accountant happy because she's tired of stressing about cash. And it helped us out tremendously by doing that. And all we did was systemize the field. And there's a lot of that went into that. But there was no organization from, if you have 15 guys on a job, that foreman can't run 15 guys. You got to split them up in 3 different crews. You got to have a foreman, 1 lead, 4 apprentice journeyman ratio, whatever, and split them up down the line, just like an organizational chart. Once we started doing that, you didn't have 15 guys coming to 1 foreman. You had 3 leads coming to 1 foreman. Those leads went to the apprentice and journeyman.
Okay, so let's just back up a second. So from a structure, let's just look at this. Just that, like, I think this might be good for people to see from a structure. So let's look at the old structure. Okay, and then let's look at. Whoops. Pull this up. So let's take a look here at the old structure, and then let's take a look in here in a second to the new structure. Is that okay, Jesse? And then I want to come to this sheet, okay? Now, do you need to explain the sheet first so that they can tie the two together, or what's the best approach?
I think the old structure would be the first.
Okay. What did that look like?
So, for instance, you got 20 guys on a job. Those 20 guys are answering to 1 foreman.
So 20 guys, right? So you'd have 1 foreman here. And then you'd have, 20 guys, right?
Yep.
Reporting, right, up to this foreman.
Not just reporting, but that foreman's trying to manage that at the same time.
Right.
Manage materials and everything else.
Right. So the foreman, going down here, right? The foreman's having to manage, having to coordinate, right? Example, material, any logistics, right? Equipment. Am I on the right path here?
Yep.
Okay, and then also have to deal with the complexity of all this going back to the office.
100%.
Okay, so why was this a problem?
Well, it's a problem because you lose your organization. He's going to forget something. He's human when you got that much on your plate. Secondly, when you have 5, I mean, we've all been in it. You've had someone in your office, you got a phone call going on, you're looking at an email, your train of thought gets lost. So now you've got 4 people waiting on answers. So you got 3 people that's costing you money sitting there because you're answering one guy. Then you go to the second guy. You still got 2 people waiting. So that costs money by doing that. He would put orders in based on 20 different guys' approach when some of them guys shouldn't even been answering to him. Some of them might have 6 months experience, so they're going to install something wrong. At that point, I mean, the whole job becomes turmoil because you bid the job to do it once. Well, some of this is going to get installed wrong. He's going to give an answer off of what's what's the word for it? Reaction. He's going to give a reactive answer instead of an educated answer because he's just trying to move things along. Not only that,
Busy just to stay busy.
yeah, dealing with the problem instead of fixing the problem.
Right, exactly. Okay. Okay, so like way less, and really it's complex too, right? Right, it really is complex, right?
Yeah, and you're going to weigh him down. You're going to kill him. That's what was happening.
Burnout.
When a guy gets burned out, he's done.
All of this equates to, team, okay, a negative environment, which, right, Jesse?
Yeah, we got another term for it, but you can call it that.
What do you call it? Get let it rip.
Don't give a fuck. I'm done. That's what we call it.
The don't give a fuck.
How many times have you had guys where their give a fuck was broken?
Yep. Okay, how many people at this stage can relate to this? Type it in the chat. I want you to give Jesse some feedback here, guys. Again, this is really important. If you're on this call, you're part of the clan, part of the family. We got to give credit where credit is due. Let Jesse know, what insights this has given you and how you can relate to it. So I'll give you guys like 15, 20 seconds just to type that in. Jesse, unbelievable. Okay, unbelievable. So we're going to come back up here and go to the new structure here in just a second. Okay, so what do we got? So we got, same issue, smaller scale. Yeah, exactly. And by the way, John, when you're at the smaller scale, and Jesse knows this is no poking Jesse. It's just the reality. And I'm sure, well, I don't know if Jesse will concur. You want to fix things when you're smaller. If, fix things at the level you're at before you try to go to the next level. You heard that at the Planning Master, guys, where we're talking, Liam and I are talking to you guys about, are you at the, stage where you really need to optimize or maximize? This was Jesse going, wait a second, I got to optimize. Now I know Jesse, right? You and I and Liam and on these group coaching sessions and stuff like that, you're saying like in the beginning, yeah, I want to expand, I want to go bigger. And it was like, whoa, wait a second. Wait a second. Like you got all this going on and you want to amplify that, right? Can you elaborate on that?
I wouldn't suggest it by no means. I mean, when we got together, company wasn't making money, had 130 plus employees, no structure, no organization. What was it? Guns blazing.
Yep.
And now I'm trying to fix what we talked about, what habits, and trying to restructure somebody's habits. And it's not an easy task. It'd be 10 times easier at a smaller level.
Right. So one of the outcomes that we got to look at here is fix it now, i.e., right, is optimize. Right.
It's like this. My cost was, I don't know, just guessing. You say it's $100,000 with 100 employees. Well, if you got 10 employees, that cost is, going to be $5,000, $10,000. So you definitely want to fix it now before you move up.
Well, we've talked about this before, right? From at the top of the funnel, at the top of your business, all you guys can relate to this. You all have something called a profit and loss statement. Okay. At the top of that is your sales. So I'm not going to disclose what Jesse's net profit is, so I'm just going to use a fictitious number. Let's say it was 10%. Up over here, that loss of $1 million at 10%, what? Jesse having to do $10 million of business. Everybody get this, for nothing.
Not only that, it'd take me another 65 shithead employees.
Exactly. Exactly. And here's something that we don't talk about too much. Okay, we're gonna get into like the solution here, guys, in just a minute. What a poor, where have you experienced good people, Jesse, that were sacrificed because of these people that were poor employees or non-performers? Ever lose anybody? Ever have situations where it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm spending all this time on this guy and I just lost this guy? Or like, do you have any of those scenarios?
From the first year apprentice to a project manager. I mean, we literally, when we went through it fourth quarter last year, we went through the employee reviews. And I bet I heard it 10 times, and I let them run with it. Well, I don't think this guy's going to make it. Let's give him another 30 days. Well, I don't think this guy's a good guy. Why would we keep investing time? We get phone calls daily, and I've got some data to do that want to come work here, but yet we're inhibiting that guy who could be an A team, an A star, from coming to work here because you're keeping this guy. That don't make any logical sense. If you're not getting anything out of him, get rid of him. I would rather see 5 of you guys that's an A team out there busting your ass and staying behind than having 15 guys and still being behind because we've got all these resumes and applications that want to come work. And after I went through that process, next thing you know, we went down to 45 employees. We fired roughly 15, 20 employees after that employee review. It took me a little bit to explain that to the guys because they're soft-hearted and they never fired anybody, but you don't fire anybody. They fire themselves. You just happen to be the messenger.
Right. Totally. So some of the things that really worked here, right, as far as, building a better team on this side was really, just a couple. Again, we're going to build on this as we go through it today. Okay. One of the things was employee reviews. Okay, so you're going to come to that in a second. Let's finish off. We're going to keep building on that on solution. Okay, so guys, again, here's one of the gold nuggets. I said this we say this on the weekly group coaching sessions, Liam and I. If there's an idea that comes across, okay, if there's a strategy, if there's an approach, and it's not directly related to the outcome/project you're working on, okay, whether it's you, Greg, or Peter, or anybody, everybody here on this call, guys, you got to put it in the parking lot. Okay, this is not a call where you get off and you knee jerk and stop everything else that you're doing. Okay, we want to make sure, Arthur, Brent, Chris, Conrad, Dan, all you guys, that you parking lot these ideas. Okay, it's like sort of the deal. Okay, that we got to make here. All right, so let's keep going. So tell us about this new structure.
So now the foreman does not have to answer to 20 guys. We've set a new standard. If you've got 5 guys on your job, you are the lead and the foreman. Anything above that, there's a lead electrician.
Okay, just a second. So we got 5 guys here. Okay, is this the foreman up here now?
Yep. He gets 6 guys.
Okay, so is this how it works, like this? And another foreman?
Yep. But if we get over 6 guys, you now nominate a lead electrician. Controls those 5 guys. So now it's the foreman and lead making the decisions, who's delegating it down to the 5 guys, just like an organizational chart.
Yep.
And the lead's responsibility is to only run those guys. If that foreman talks to anybody outside of that lead other than, hey, how you doing? And the PM finds out about it, they're getting wrote up for it.
Okay, so let me just redo this. So let me just make sure I got this right. So then we got a lead.
Yep.
We're going to say above
5 guys.
6. Okay.
Yep.
Then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. So so the lead has these guys responding to him.
Yep.
And the lead is communicating back and forth with the foreman.
Exactly.
Okay. And what did you say about the about the project manager. Where's the project manager sit here?
He's above the foreman.
Right. Right.
That project manager is not to talk to that lead. That project manager is not to talk to those apprentices other than, hey, how you doing? If there's a apprentice or a journeyman screwing off in the field, he goes to the foreman goes to the lead handles it.
Okay, I love it. Okay, so everybody, I want to just touch on this for a second. This here, from this point, communication goes up and it goes down, right? In different ways, right? You know, up and down, different. Actually, that's wrong, isn't it? That's totally wrong. I made a boo-boo there. It goes like this with a stopping point, and then it goes to this, and then it goes to this. That needed to be corrected. Agreed, Jesse?
Yep.
And the same goes the other way. This is what's called, guys, if you go into the training, as far as understanding an organizational chart, this is what we call the hierarchy of communication. It's super, super important. Why is it that critical that you have a hierarchy of communication, Jesse? I know you've mentioned it a bit, but can you elaborate on this?
Well, I mean, if you don't have a hierarchy of communication, and we don't label here, it's not a status symbol. It's for clear communication. If you don't do that, now let's say that journeyman below that lead, he's reporting to 3 different people. He's going to get confused. He don't know which one to answer to. He's going to install something wrong. He's going to do something wrong. But if he only has to answer to one guy, then now he knows one thing he needs to do or one task he's got to get done.
Totally agree. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to do something here. Okay, I'll go back to this in a second. Just a second. Trying to use my fingers here, but they're not working. That's all right. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay. So, yeah, for sure, right? And then, so look at the difference, guys, in complexity, right? This person, there is no freaking way in hell that this person can handle all of what's coming to him. There's no way. So Jesse, you know, you talk about A players. Okay, let's just say you had an A player in that spot. They'd be burning themselves out.
Oh yeah. I've done it. I've experienced it, so I knew what they're going through.
Totally.
And I'll tell you this: when we had our first foreman's meeting, I closed the door and I said, "If you got feelings, I'd leave right now." That's because I want everybody's open mouth and I want to know what's going on and why. And that, remember the meeting notes? I think I sent them to Lion and you. And all that going down through there. The first one was communication.
Yeah, totally. Hey, McGrath, I think you and Jesse came from the same wound. Yeah, for sure. I love it. I think a lot of us, right, from that perspective. Okay, so you got better communication. You have a balanced responsibility. Like in the sense that people, can actually do their job, right?
You got less waste.
Mm-hmm. Right. Less waste.
Organization starts coming into a factor because now the foreman has time to actually start doing his job.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, there's a couple different ways to look at this. And words have meaning. Okay, so when I look at this structure, you can look at this from an organizational chart. I like to look at it also from an accountability chart. How does that resonate with you at all, Jesse?
So that lead is held accountable for those 5 guys.
Yep.
So let's just say that one of those guys misses work 2 days. That lead don't do a write-up, he gets wrote up. If that foreman don't write the lead up because he didn't write him up, PM's to write him up. If I find out about it, I'm writing the PM up. And I usually take vacation or bonus from them.
Hear that, guys? So see, organizational chart, it can look like the same thing. But the reason that I like to call it an accountability chart is exactly with what, Jesse, how he just described it. Everything that came out of his mouth was a form of accountability. Okay, and you've heard me break this down. There's some newbies on here. Guys, type in if you're new. Welcome. Okay, it's super awesome. You have to be accountable, right? I sucked at English, but when you break down some of these words, accountable. This person, how the Christ could this be? How could it be fair for Jesse to hold him accountable when he's not accountable? When the guy's got fucking 20 people coming to him. Not going to fly, right?
There's no way.
Okay. How long did it run like that? The old way.
What is it, 2020? 10 years? And that's with growth. And it started small.
Yeah. Huge. Okay. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so let's. Anything else you want to say on this, Jesse? Before we move into, I want to have you walk through the sheet.
No.
Just like how this came to be. Okay, good, awesome, great. Okay, again, guys, we'll just take a bit of a pause as I'm pulling this baby up. So one of the strategies for a better team, that Jesse was able to work on was an accountability chart. Okay. It also changed, correct me if I'm wrong, Jesse, it also changed the job descriptions of people.
Yep. And there's job descriptions for each individual too. And those job descriptions are pulled out when we do their reviews.
Love it. Okay. Love it. So bingo, bango. Okay. Okay. So let's let me just shrink this bye-bye. Okay, so here, sure. All right, so okay, so tell me. I'm going to pull this up here in just a second. Tell me about this. Tell me a little bit about this sheet here. So I'm going to share it here in a second. Bear with me, guys. Just pulling this up. So how did this sheet? Actually, before we get into the sheet, I think maybe we should touch, if you think it makes sense, I think touch on what you were looking at from a complexity perspective, because this is basically a form of a key performance indicator sheet, right? A tracking sheet, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So when you looked at this, you tell us about when this goes all the way back to us on the bus. And by the way, just to let everybody know, your questioning coming down to the client, to the financial mastery. Okay, Jesse, you coming?
Yeah. Yep. Me, and I know Hector will be there, and I think Scott's coming too.
Okay. Did you just? By the way, I never asked you to say that, did I? I never asked you to say that you're going to be bringing your right hand guys, right?
Oh no! If I could send someone else other than me, I would send those three guys. I would rather have them have it than myself. To be honest with you.
Well, here's the thing, though, right? The leader needs to lead.
He does.
Yeah. Okay. So, and there's some, like when I say there's some killer value you got out of that, let's just talk about that on the old yellow bus.
Yeah. It was the start of when we had the incentive program. We was trying to figure out what we can do to get people skin in the game. And that's when we was talking about it, and not only Andrew questioned it, I think Jablowski, was that how you say his last name? Jabwa, whatever his name is? He questioned it, which opened mine and Hector's eyes back up and took us back to the drawing board. Because those were questions we failed to ask.
Was it Jason?
Jason, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, where's Jay? I'm here. Is Jason here, or is it Steph, the better half? Is it you, Steph, or is it Jay on the call? Or you just type in. That'd be good to know. If Jay's on the call, then we'll.
It's just me.
Okay. Were you there? Were you there in part of that conversation, Steph, or is it just Jay?
I can't remember.
Okay, no problem, no problem. Okay, so just to make a point, okay? So guys, I'm really pushing, I'm pushing that you guys come out to these events, okay? Because this is the kind of shit that comes out of them, okay? Game changer stuff, okay? So, and other people supporting you. So go ahead, Jess. So where was your head at? It was like pretty complex, right?
Oh yeah, I think shit. When we got back, we talked about it. We even brought other team members involved, management, because it was. I mean, we made it so complex. I mean, you talk about KPIs. Shit, we had like 50 of them, and like, how do you track it? How do you control it? And that was where each one was like, I don't know. Well, once we got with all that, I think it was Andrew and Lyon on the phone where they got on there and they said, no, simplify it. Andrew was like, name two big things you can control, or they control. It's like, well, labor and materials. He said, that's the first two you start with. And then once everything goes well with that, add a third one, then add a fourth one, then add a fifth one. So that's what we started doing. And we simplified it down 2 KPIs that's driven by the foreman, but 6 overall to make sure it's a big circle. If this guy fails, everybody fails. So if that guy fails, nobody wants to step in and help him out, then everybody fails.
Right, so you kept it simple, right? Everybody on this call. Look, whenever you're going to put some form of a tracking mechanism in place, some form of accountability, I cannot stress this enough. You got to keep it as simple as possible, because it's a golden rule. As soon as I say it, and when we're on the bus, it also helped with a couple of Canadians. I mean, Canadians like as in beer, right? I guess, and Canadians. So Canadians and Canadians on the bus, right? Having a few pops. But at the end of the day, if you can't get things working in its simplest form, there's no way you're going to get it working in a form that's more complex. Okay? The other thing, what's the other advantage of starting off with simplicity, Jesse?
You're going to have to answer that one.
Okay. So this is awesome. So, we talked about, when you look at implementing something new, you're trying to break somebody's what, Jesse?
Habits.
Their habits. So if you're trying to get somebody to change with 49 freaking KPIs, and you can't even get them to start a new habit and leave a bad habit behind, you're gonna have a problem.
Yep.
Okay? It's hard for people to support change to begin with. That's it. Like, accept it. Inclusive of us as owners. Okay? It's hard to accept change. Even sometimes when we know the change is going to be better. Because, we've been programmed to keep these habits, whether they're good or bad. So not only that, but, from a management perspective, Jesse, if you're trying to manage 49 KPIs, trying to manage 2.
You just created a bunch of back costs when you do that too.
Yeah. Do you want me to show you what it looks like?
No, you ain't got to.
No, I'm going to show you. I have to. Okay, I have to. So when we're looking at this, I'll show it in just a second. I'll just say what it is. Remember when I drew the old organizational chart?
Mm-hmm.
That's the same thing.
Yep.
It's the frickin' same thing. You have a person like Jesse right there, and then he's got like 49 different KPIs underneath him. You can't manage it. Okay. All right. So keep it simple. Okay. Tell us a little bit about this sheet.
So the spreadsheet come down to, so now we force our guys to build job schedules based on the GC schedule. I didn't share one of those with y'all, but we use Microsoft Project. Okay. And I can show it to you if you want to later. But so those job schedules, we break it down to electrical line items instead of more of a general contractor line item. And we break it down and we allocate how many guys for that task we're going to need, and it's dated. We bring those project schedules to the foreman's meeting, third Thursday of every month. And we go through each job. And if you look like on 120 to 124, that's what he's going to need on Comfort Inn. That's what he's going to need. He'll need 12 guys.
Okay, 1 foreman, 3 lead, One journeyman, 7 apprentices.
7 apprentices. Yep.
Okay. Perfect.
And then if you look over to the next column, we actually dropped a foreman. Hey, we got 3 leads on site. Let's take a foreman and put him somewhere where he can be more utilizable.
Right there.
We moved him down to there. It's Popeyes. So at that point, 2-3, we're going to go back. We're going to lose a lead somewhere because one of these other jobs needs it. We got to bring our foreman back up here to Comfort Inn to run that job. So at that point, we go through this. This was projected out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks.
Yep.
So on 120, we know on 217, I mean, weather pending, this is all subject to change, but we have a placeholder and a starting point. So if you scroll down, we have 38 employees that run out of this division. Now watch. On the first column, it says 97.37%.
Yeah.
Our field supervisor kept saying, oh, we need to hire people. We need to hire people. We need to hire people. Well, if we tried hiring someone on 120, Bree makes a good comment here. She said, there's sometimes these guys just hire whatever walks through with a beating heart. But if we see 6 weeks from now, we're running above, our 90%, then at that point, we have 5 weeks to do interviews to really strategically hire somebody. So anyways, the field supervisor kept saying, oh, I need to hire, I need to hire. We got through this manpower meeting. I said, damn, dude. I said, in 3 weeks, we're going to have 3 extra guys floating around out here. So why the hell do we need to hire now when next week we're going to have 2 extra guys floating around?
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we push these guys to another job, get caught up over here, and then we can move those guys back to another job to help out, to keep on progressing. And we only need 34 guys on the 2nd week of February. So we're fixing to go back to where we just got out of and hire guys that's unproductive, that's also going to create a different culture in the field pretty much, because you're going to kill a guy's work ethic because he's watching this jackleg over here just screw around, and we don't even need him.
Totally. I love it. I love it. And guys, I want everybody, like, again, I want to get your input on this. Okay. And Jesse, thanks for sharing the spreadsheet. And this is real time, guys. This is not some sort of, oh, I think this is going to happen. He's using this tool. This is working. Okay. It's looking at capacity. It's looking at efficiency. It's looking at optimizing also people. Let's be straight up, for what their true potential can be. So maybe you've already said it, Jesse. I just put in my own 2 cents here is understand, guys, like say, for example, Jesse is like, he did it right here, right? Where he doesn't need the foreman here. So, he could have a foreman starting a job, getting things kicked off, like down, see, I didn't even know. So like down here, this is probably what's happening. Kicking off a job, getting things lined up, getting things set up, so that when they're ready for the lead and the journeyman or the apprentice, he can get them started on there, and he doesn't have to be there as long as he normally would, because he's being utilized for his skill set. Is that
100%? We've got even our apprentices. So Cavalier Courts is in a rough-in stage. We know, based on the reviews, who's best at running conduit. Right. Who's best at pulling MC cable? Who's best at laying out rooms? Who's best at running home runs? So we shift those guys around accordingly. So you're using your guys to your best advantage. Right. What are they best at? And then we also try to take 1 or 2 guys and put them with those so they learn from those guys.
Love it. I love it. With that being said, I want to ask a couple more questions. I want to get feedback from the team on how they could use this or what they could get out of this. If you got input already, guys, put it in here, okay? How does this help you from this is from a project management, manpower perspective, skill set, optimization. Does this help you at all when it comes to quoting?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, tell me about that. I
Well,
elaborate.
the thing is, when it comes to quoting, so we got a standard quoting procedure. I mean, it's across the board.
Yep.
But here's the lovely value of it. We can get work with that, right? So if I bid a job at 1,500 hours,
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden, if I put the right crew on there, I'm going to put that job in 1,300 hours. I save 200 hours at an average of $20 an hour. So hell, we made $6,000 right there just by optimizing and utilizing our guys to their best skill set.
I love it. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, guys, we're going to get into, because I want to make sure we get into this next phase, is like the incentives. So I want to get into that. Is that cool, Jesse?
Yeah, click on the next tab real quick, bottom left, you'll see like,
Yeah, right here.
so we print those out, we give them to the foreman. They don't have their pay scales on there.
Let me just do this too. Does this help, guys, if I blow this sucker up here? There we go. How's that? Okay, go ahead.
So each foreman gets the next 5 weeks of who they're getting. So they know 4 weeks from now, I'm getting 7 guys, and this is who I'm getting. I need to make sure and have this ready for them to be here. So you're not pushing him off a cliff. You're giving him exactly who he's getting, what he's getting, and what skill set they have. And we'll get into that with the incentives, but we've had foremen say, this is above my average labor rate. We got to do something.
Elaborate.
Because their foremen have to stay under man hours and their average labor rate. So if the average labor rate that's quoted on that job, say $20 an hour, you break this down to Cavalier Courts and it's $20.50 an hour. The foreman sees that and he's like, hey, this is going to cost money on this job. I get 50 cents over an hour.
Because he's incentivized for it.
Because he's incentivized. He's seeing it now.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. I love
We had a guy who threw a fit last week over 50 cents, and I loved it.
Okay.
Is that what I got moved down?
So just let me ask you this. Is it in behind here? We don't need to go into it, but is it in behind here or someplace whereby it's identifying the skill set of your team? Of that?
No, it's another spreadsheet.
Okay. So from that perspective, you're also rating each individual's skill, right?
Yep.
Okay, skill set. Dude, this is awesome. Okay, is there a form? Actually, let me just pause for a second. Just pause. Guys, what are you getting out of this so far? Let me just take a look at the chat. Hopefully, Jesse, you're able to see the chat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ed types in the don't give a F for sure. Totally turned over my much smaller team. Shane's like on point. Absolutely, guys burn out and you lose your good guys, get stuck with the bad ones. Don says, understand completely. Fixing now pays big later as we grow or stay the same, but just get more efficient. Ian says, amplify is a great word. Yeah, totally. If we grow the way we are now, it just makes it bigger mess, right?
Yep. And Andrew, with this, the project manager knows on January 20th what his labor cost is going to be for that job on February 17th. Accounting knows how much payroll we're going to spend over the next 5 weeks. They can project their cash flow.
Right. Love it.
One project manager may get it and say, hey guys, I'm going to be pushing my budget. I've got to get some, either figure out how to speed productive up, or I've got to get some lesser value guys depending on the task they're doing.
Yep, totally. Okay, let's get focused here on the, we got some time left over. It might go a little bit over, but guys, this is gold. Jesse, okay for another 10 or no?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, let's just do this. Okay, so we'll go here. Let me go back. Okay, so which one of these tools should we look at, my friend? Performance bonus plan?
Anyway, we can start with the apprentice and work your way up to the project.
Perfect. Okay, so everybody, can you see this, Jesse?
Yep.
Okay, is it big enough?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, cool. Okay, so tell us a little bit about this.
So the biggest problem we have with apprentices, that's obviously our future. If we don't have apprentices, we don't have a future. We don't have journeymen, we don't have foremen, we don't have project managers. And the workforce is obviously dwindled in this trade. So one of the biggest problems we had was apprentices literally showing up for work and wanting to learn. So this is something that we all come up with that said, hey, what can we do for them to hold their hand out and get something and also learn from it? So what we started doing was, what you got your mouse over, $1 per hour bonus will be given for perfect attendance and no tardies for not missing any school for the month, or missing any school for the month. So they got to go to class 2 nights a week, every week. If they don't miss any school and they don't miss any work, and this is, when I say no excuses, you get in a 4-wheeler accident, that is not an excused absence. This zero tolerance policy. So if you don't come to work and you show up late, you leave early, whatever, you lose $160 that month. And if they don't go to school, we get a bad report from the school. And if you showed up for every hour you're supposed to work, you was on time every day, and you don't show up for school, well, you still lose your $160 for that month. And not only that, you lost your 3.3 hours of vacation for that month as well, which equals to 1 week a year. So they're getting incentives, but they have to earn it.
Right. Love it. Love it. Okay. So this guys, this is gold. Okay. So do they have to sign off on this?
Yep.
What if they decide that, I think I know the answer. What happens if they decide they don't want to sign this?
Oh, well, you don't get any of it.
So is there people that you would allow to be an apprentice that aren't signed up to this?
Oh, no. They usually get fired or quit because the other apprentices will push them out.
Okay, guys, this is a big principle. I know sometimes it's hard because you might be at a stage where you feel like you got maybe a bunch of lack of performers, but also let's take into account, right, we're going to talk about the oath of leadership just quickly before we wrap things up. It's your responsibility. Like, notice that Jesse's holding these people accountable, but they're being incentivized, right? At the end of the day, you're going to have people, Jesse said it at the beginning, that aren't going to meet your new culture.
Yeah. Anyway.
And you've got to be very serious about the impact of keeping them these poor performers on board. So just consider that, right? So Jesse, let's keep talking about anything else you want to share on this?
No, I mean, it's pretty cut and forward.
Yep.
Zero tolerance policy.
Look at this baby. Okay. So here's these KPIs, right, that we started out with, right?
Yep.
Actually, we didn't start it with 6. Which ones did you start off with? These ones in this order?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Go ahead.
KPI 1, company has to hit a gross profit of 2.984 million. Which means if we hit 2.983 million, someone better find $1,000 in gross profits or no one's getting bonuses.
Right.
It's everybody and accountable that they have to hit that goal, because you don't want to pay out bonuses if you're not hitting the company goals on its gross profits, hit its break even, and its net profits. KPI 2, and I share what I call a WIP report. It's a work in progress report, and it updates them where the company's sitting at toward that goal. It goes out the 15th of every month when we close the books out. KPI number 2, to receive a bonus, the entire job must come in under budget, which means if a job comes in 10,000 under budget and the company's hit its 2.984 million, that foreman is now eligible for part of that 10% under budget bonus.
Love it.
KPI 3, this is where the two KPIs the foreman can control the most is labor and material. So it's based on a percentage. If you got a $100,000 job, we'll do easy math. 25,000 is labor and 25,000 is material. you have 100%, so 50% labor, 50% material. If the labor comes in under budget, he gets 50% of his estimated bonus. If the material comes in under budget, he gets 50% of his estimated bonus. Both of them coming under budget, he gets his full bonus.
Okay, how did you come up, Conrad says, how did you come up with these numbers and rate?
How did I come up with the numbers? I mean, well,
Like, how did you come up with like 2,984,000 in profits?
well, the biggest thing is our break even.
Yes.
So once you got that number, then you set another goal. What do I want to make net profits? What do I need net profits wise to reinvest in the company? What do I need net profits wise to keep my cash flow going? And at the end of the day, the fuck do I want to put in my pocket?
Yeah. Does that help, Conrad? I'd like to know how you got the numbers for your specific company. Well, so Conrad, so he figured out what his break-even margin was, right? So he looked at his fixed costs. He looked back at his run rate as far as sales. You know, looked at, you know, trajectory of, like, to some degree we have to guess, correct, Jesse, how much we think our sales are going to be. Are they going to be the same as last year, this year, things of that nature, correct, Jesse? Okay. And then you said, okay, so here's how much, you know, here's how much profit that we have to make to cover all these expenses.
Yep.
Then he basically looked at it and said, okay, well, how much do I want to make as being this owner based upon if I'm bringing in this much sales, how much do I want in my pocket? Tell me if I'm off, Jesse.
No, you ain't off, but I think he's asking for something else. He said the $100 for the employees.
Oh, okay. Oh, I think he's talking, is he back to the apprentices? Where's Conrad? Unmute yourself for a second.
Hey, Conrad,
Yeah, I was wondering, like, I get where you're break even, I get all that. I'm just like to incentivize the employees, like, where did you come with these numbers, like this $100, or I'm going to give them this, or $200, like, you know, where did this come from, or did you just wave a magic wand and
you
say,
know, like the dollar an hour extra. So if they're making 13 an hour, they can potentially make an extra $1 an hour if they just show up for work and don't miss school. So if you come in and interview and said, well, I want $13 an hour, I'd be like, I tell you what, man, I can hire you at 12. And, you know, because I don't know you, you don't know me. But we have this bonus program where all you got to do is show up and go to class, and you'll make 13. So that's where the extra $1 come in. Now, you see it on the bottom, are you talking about the $100 and $200 referral?
yeah, I was just asking in general, like, how did you even come up with these numbers? Like these, yeah.
There's a lot.
I know it's a big question, so that's why I was like, hey, maybe we could talk later. But yeah.
As far as coming up with the numbers and percentage-wise, it's all really a lot of it based on historical data.
Okay.
And how much, you know, really breaking it down to a percent, not numbers, but really breaking those numbers down to a percent. If you break it down to a percent, then you make the numbers smaller and you understand what you got to make, what can you give, and how much can you collect by giving.
Does that make sense, Conrad?
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, when we talk about, you notice that when I'm talking math, a lot of times with you guys, I'm talking percentages. There's a purpose for that. Okay, so when he came up with the $1, or he comes up with, you know, you're going to get this kind of bonus based upon, you know, the company's, you know, profits and things of that nature. We always have to look at percentages, and the reason that you want to look at percentages is because percentages are the key to looking at, you know, knowing what your break-even margin is, right, Jesse?
Yep.
Right. So when he's looking at things, there's also there's some things that go on behind the scenes, not to get too complicated, but we just got to call a spade a spade. So if there's, let's just use you as a guinea pig, Conrad. You got your guys. Let's just say that you're picking an apprentice as an example, or you're picking an employee. Jesse took a step back and went, okay, what's the role of this employee, and how much impact will it have if this person does meet these budgets? If this person does stay on track, like, what's that worth to me?
Yeah.
Again, tell me if I'm wrong, Jesse.
Nope.
And then he went, okay, if I incentivize this guy by 10% of his pay, let's And there was a testing period, right, Jesse, to go, is this actually going to incentivize them? True?
Yes. And I
So-
tried it, and it works, and there's stories behind it showing it works.
Okay. So he had to get, look at 10% of total savings. This is an example. Notice he's using percentages. You can track percentages. It's really, really difficult just to work off of like a dollar. Okay, let's give him $100 for this one. Let's give him $200 for that one. What the fuck? Where'd you come up with that number? Versus it's 10% of. Is this good, Conrad?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So it's going to be customized and tailored to everybody's individual business, but the principles are the exact same. Okay. What else did you want to share on this? Like, is there anything you want to share regarding like this example, or no, or is this too much, or what?
No, and I'll show you how it works. I'll show you the impact this will have. If I can share my screen here.
Yes, I will definitely do it. So guys, pay close attention. Okay. You definitely want to stick around for this part. Okay. You can just.
I don't know if this is appropriate. No, I get off to this kind of shit.
It's awesome. And thanks for awesome, like the time you're giving and insights, dude. It's amazing.
All right, so check this out. This is how the bonus works.
You gotta click. You know how to. You click the bottom. Okay, there we go. Perfect.
You see it?
Yep.
See the spreadsheet?
Yep.
All right. So this is the total budget for the entire project. This is a bigger project. So the total budget is $2.894 million. Okay? We have potentially savings to date $243,000 on this. Where that number derives from is everything bought out. So like materials. Not only did I do this, but this is a job I'm PMing. I've done this to prove a point to my PMs. Not only did my foreman help me, he wanted to get involved. Our budget was $608,000. We bought it out for $445,000. He went to 3 different suppliers and kept beating at them. I didn't have a lot to do with this, and my project coordinator, because they all got skin in the game. Put a savings of $163,000. Okay? So it's this right here, and then right here, the lighting. This was an idea I do all the time, and people say I'm wrong for doing it. I don't give a shit. I'm in this to make money. I'm good at what I do. $542,000. I sent a VE package in. They accepted it, approved it, made $82,000 just with some fumbling and some paperwork. So how this bonus program works, so there's $243,000 in savings. This is an advanced job, which is 10%. So he is eligible for 10% of that $243,000. If his labor comes in under budget to date, as of right now with that savings, he's getting $2,900. It's broken out between 5 and 4.6. Where those numbers derive from is your labor and material added together. Once those are added together, 608,000 into those two together is 5.4%. 54% of 100%, which equates to 5.4. So look at this. I got the team involved, my project coordinator, my foreman. I was like, hey, you want to help out on this? Here's what you could potentially have. I put $243,000 in the company right now. My foreman is stoked over getting $4,100 at the end of the job.
Over what period of time? Actually, let me ask you this: how many opportunities in the year would he have approximately to make that kind of money?
This job's going to finish up in September, but this is now. Granted, we just stepped foot on this job last week. You ought to see the ideas this guy's got when he's seen this. I mean, he started systemizing the job. He's like, dude, I'm gonna make $20,000 off this job above his salary. So I mean, that's insane. The original budget was 16% on gross profits. He turned it into 24%, and we haven't even stepped foot on the job. This is just all pre-planning, getting it all ready.
So I want to come back to a conversation we had a long time ago. And guys, I want to let you know that I cannot stress enough I hope as sure as hell you're getting you're seeing the value out of this. Okay, like we're talking 10 years of doing it an old way. One of the things, guys, that you want to understand is that you got to rough it. You got to start making progress. And Jesse, you haven't highlighted this, but I'm going to highlight this. This goes back to calls that you've had. Okay, you know, whether it's on the group calls or what have you, where we were talking about where your value was. Do you remember this?
Yep.
And Jesse's like, yeah, man, I went into a project and I found this much money, and we could have been this much more efficient and approach it this way, run the pipe this way, you know, yada, 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 right? And one of the key questions that came out of there, and this is the key question you want to ask yourself. When you recognize genius or you recognize a skill set, an insight, guys, insight, this guy here that Jesse's talking about has always had this natural insight. Jesse.
I'm listening.
He's always had it, okay? Now, Jesse had it, and we saw Jesse have it, okay? The key is, A, to recognize the insights and the potential that people can have if you give them the potential to show it. Now, in Jesse seeing it in himself, the question was like, okay, Jesse, this is awesome. You got to spend more time doing this. But do you remember this, Jesse? But Jesse, you got to do it and show your team how to do it. Is that true?
Put it on paper.
Put it on paper. Okay. So he's now multiplied, Jesse. Before, Jesse, is it true? It used to just be you.
Oh, yeah. Used to just be me, and then I passed it down just by putting that incentive plan in. He got proactive on the job. He's already got the job staged. He's ready to receive his materials. He knows how many guys he's going to need each week. He knows who he wants, and he knows he's got right now $4,100 on it. But let's say, I mean, he gets let's say he spends $600,000 on material or on labor. So that puts the job at another, say he comes another $100,000 under budget. Bumps it up. We come another $100,000 under budget, and he got $400 and he's stoked. I don't know about you, but I can't invest $400 and get 97 or 99,000.
Totally. Okay. So okay, guys, let's just pause right now. Let's just pause. Okay. I'm sure you got some more to say on this, Jesse. Is it true? Or
no, I mean, the bonus program looks complex, but when you put it on paper and show them, here's what you got so far, all of a sudden it makes perfect sense to them, and they start ticking. You mean I've already made $4,100 and I haven't even got on this job yet? 100%.
okay, team. Okay. So let's go back to some of the basics. Okay. Let's just go back to some of the root of this stuff. Okay. So, and there's different angles of looking at this, but let's just look at this from a strategic tactical perspective. Team, there's a reason why in the very beginning, that when and I'm not trying to preach PFC, I'm trying to preach why there's a process. When we say to you, you've got to make sure you maximize the profits on the work you have right now. And you guys go, okay. So that means you've got to make sure you know your break even so you're quoting properly. That means, and yes, there's effort and involvement, but there's fucking effort and involvement times a fucking 1,000 in not doing this and not gaining and other people gaining. So, you know, knowing that you're quoting profitably, knowing that you're running the jobs profitably, which means, hey guys, you got to make sure your jobs are progressing to profit. Agreed, right, Jesse?
100%.
In the beginning, Jesse, we weren't properly tracking the goddamn job, so you wouldn't have been able to implement this.
No.
And now that you've got that system in place for people to track the jobs, you're incentivizing them, tracking them, true, and using your systems. Agreed?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's tracked right there on the spreadsheet. And here's the thing, Peter, actually, when I went to his shop I love the idea of how he shared the bonuses up on the TV screen and the volume of work. We started doing that. So every time someone walks through that office, every foreman meeting we have, they look at it. They see it goes out. Every time someone comes in, it's scrolling across the screen.
So just pause for a second. So everybody, at the last event, Planning Mastery, Peter, can you unmute yourself there, Captain? Peter McGrath. Oh, he's trying to unmute. What's he doing here? So, oh, he's on the phone. Okay, so unmute yourself, Peter, just quickly. So at the last client event, Peter was kind enough that we went and did a tour at his location. Okay, and one of the things Peter had up on the wall, Peter, you talk about it. Like you put up this screen, guys come walking in, your techs come walking in, and they've got this KPI, key performance screen. True?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about that.
Yes,
like,
we do.
like what initiated that, and how does that relate to this?
Well, I mean, it's just a matter of just sharing all the important information for the guys. They can see how well they're doing at a glance, and every time they come into the office, they have that information accessible. And our guys like to see it. I mean, some of the guys are really competitive, some of the guys are moderately competitive, but everybody likes to see how well they're doing.
Would you go ahead, Peter? Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say it just gives them a little bit of a boost. I mean, even like I said, even the guys that say they're not competitive, they're always looking at that board.
Yeah. Liam, where's Liam? Is he on here? Liam. Lion. Are you there? Oh, sorry.
Here. Yeah,
okay.
I'm here. Yeah.
Liam, what was the saying that you said, which I freaking love, dude? That's almost like a tattoo, but it might be too big. Is tell us about performers and being measured.
Which one? Sorry, what specifically? Which one are you talking about?
Well, you had mentioned to me, you said, I remember you saying to me one time, you're like, Andrew, the reality is that performers, top performers want to be measured.
Oh, yeah, it's a great insight from Dale Carnegie and How to Win Friends and Influence People. He talks about how Andrew Carnegie would go into his steel mills, okay, and he would just put up a board, and he just put the number 1 on a board, on a big board. And guys would go, what the hell is that? And he's like, that's the number of days the other steel mill hasn't had an accident, or the number of days they overproduce quota. And they would literally the next day, like, meet it or double it.
Love it. Right? Love it. Okay. Guys, Liam, great. Okay. So that's a cultural statement. So Jesse, anything else you want to talk about these KPIs?
No.
Okay, perfect. Okay. We're going to start wrapping things up here, guys, in just a second. So let me just pull up my screen here. Guys, start typing in some of the insights you've got. If there's a couple of questions we can address, we'll try and do that. I'll bring this up. Let me see. I'll share my screen. Let me just do a little bit of a summary. I've just been making a couple of notes here. Okay, let's see if you guys can see this. So understand that from a strategic perspective, guys, some of the things that Jesse did was he built a team, okay, building an A team that builds more A teams, okay? So, duplicate success, okay, is key. They created KPIs. They started out key performance indicators, guys, dashboards, right? We had our very first, KPI mastery call around the financials, right? Like, so knowing your numbers, but, he broke it down into simple terms. So if you're sitting there on this call and you're like, man, this is a lot, man, there's 6 KPIs. Jesse, what would you say to somebody that's like, man, I don't know if I can do this. This is a lot of stuff. Like, where do I start? What would you say to them?
Depending on what KPIs you're going to do, if you're going to put a incentive program in place and it's going to be toward, for instance, a foreman, stop and step back and say, what does my foreman control the most? Ours was labor and materials. Same thing for apprentices. What issues am I having with the apprentices? Okay, how can I control that? What incentives can I come up with to eliminate those issues? So if you find your issues, look for the incentives, then get the KPIs in place.
Everybody get that? So if you're looking at your business right now, okay, and I cannot stress this enough, I'm trying to navigate, okay? One of the key areas you have got to focus in on. I don't care if you're a little bit slow right now, it's even better time. I don't care if you're really busy right now, I don't care if you're in between. You have got to make sure the bloody jobs that you've been awarded, especially the jobs that are running right now, are maximizing profitability. There's not a person on this call, because we're all in some form of the trades, where that applies. Okay? Right now. So ask yourself, what are the issues? So here's your sort of homework, guys. Again, if you've gotten past this and you're working on something else that's per your plan and outcomes, okay, that's something different. But what are the issues? List them. That's number one. Number two, and Jesse, help coach me here, dude, if I'm on the right or wrong track. Number two is sort like the top. Let's just talk about the top 2 or 3, right?
Yeah. Or start with one. What is the biggest factor he can control? Find that one.
Perfect.
Then go to 2.
Right. Then you go to number 1 and you say what? You ask yourself, well, what impacts that issue, right? Okay, so you're going to ask yourself, what causes / impacts that issue? And then what you want to do is you want to match, okay? So if you had in your head like, oh man, remember guys at the Planning Mastery, oh, I want to improve my business, so I've got this strategy, this one. Guys, it's endless, right? Just the list of freaking strategies on the pillars of profit that we created is over 200. But here's the thing. You don't need to worry about the 200, right, Jesse? This is like freaking Sesame Street. Which one of these best supports impacting that issue? Am I right, Jesse?
100%.
And then it's assigning who is going to help you and has control, back to what Jesse says. What does the foreman or the apprentice or the electrician or the office person, okay? What can they impact the most on that? And that's where you start. Did I miss anything, Jess?
Nope. Other than what is the biggest issue?
Well, that's this right here.
Yeah, number 1 issue.
That's right there. Number 1 issue. Yep.
That's the biggest thing. You find the issue, and yet, people are human, man. You got to give them something to get something in return other than us, because we're at the top of the game, and you got to find something to keep them motivated. And how can you give? It's learn to serve before you get served, and that goes back to the employee to you. But how can you serve them to make them better?
Learn to serve before
you get served.
You got it. Love it. Okay. Okay. As people are putting in what their greatest impacts are, Jesse, what you put in here? What is this PDF?
Meryl was asking about how we can control costs. So that's an example of a daily, or how we control. Or someone asked how we control them cutting corners. That's a daily example of a daily report. That's an example of a daily report that was done here the 21st. It's a quick one I found. That this is how we keep them. They have to give us not pictures. They have to give us progress pictures, which means if I see a wall one day.
I'm going to share it here, guys.
Okay. Well, if I see a wall one day, this eliminates me from going to the field as much. If I see a wall that has half the work done the next day, I want to see a picture of that wall with all the work done, and I want to see the quality of work that was done.
Okay, guys, this making sense? Okay, look at this sheet, right? These are just pictures. Now you've seen in some of the training, or maybe some of you guys haven't. Look, people go, oh, I'm gonna have to go buy a freaking $20,000-$30,000 software. Bullshit. Okay, Jesse, you correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure if you're using it, but I know Peter is, and people of that nature, where they're using Trello. They have the job listed. They have the expectations. People upload the picture to it. You know where it's at. It's basically right. What? Progressing to profit.
Yep.
Right. Hopefully that helps. Okay. Address your question there, Muriel. Okay. So awesome, dude. Awesome. Wrapping it up, guys. What did you get out of this? And as we're wrapping it up, Jesse, you talk about this oath of leadership and culture. Like, how important is this oath of culture? Tell us what the hell that is.
Well, I mean, it comes down, if the oath of leadership pretty much practically states you need to train someone to take your position. You need to train them to be better than you. So if your team is training an individual to take their position, you're going to have internal growth naturally. So the oath of leadership practically says you will do that. If you don't do that, then your incentive program is out of the door. It's useless. And the only way you can do that is set a culture from the top down. And that's where I failed. I started at the top and it worked real well, but we didn't go down to the bottom. And that's where it started failing. That's when I realized it started failing.
Mm-hmm. Actually, and that oath of leadership started way back when you had a partner that really wasn't a partner.
Mm.
Right. So, and you responded to Alex here. Alex was talking about, like, do you hire people that have quit in the past? And you said, Alex, I would say 75% of the guys that quit come back. Elaborate on that.
Me or Alex?
No, like, was that you that said that? It was you that.
Yeah, 75%. It's funny. We get guys who, I'm quitting, yada, yada, yada. 75% of those realize when they go to another company, and this was good that Lime wanted me to share. Go to another company, 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, they call back wanting their job. We had 2 guys call back last week wanting to come back to work. Those were guys we was getting rid of anyway, so obviously we're not bringing them back. But they think the grass is green on the other side because you offer all this stuff and let them go try it. You know what? Fuck it. Don't be worried if someone's going to quit. Don't be worried if you got to fire somebody. That's part of it. Look at it as a challenge and take it on and be like, hey, go try it out. If you don't like it, we'll always have a door open here. 99% of the time, they're going to come back. I had a girl in my office. I was curious if anyone else done this. And so what I done is we got online, got on Indeed, found someone hiring for a position. And I said, hey, do you mind doing me a favor? She's like, no, what's up? So I need you to go interview for a job. So you firing me? I was like, no, I'm not firing you. So I just need you to go interview for a job. I want to see what this company has to offer. So she went down there and interviewed, and her exact response was, fuck that. They don't offer shit. I said, that's what I wanted to hear. So that goes back to they don't know how good they got it until they go somewhere else. When they go somewhere else and they come back and you keep having people come back, you know you're doing something right.
What would you say to somebody that said that, I don't know if that's the right thing to do, or, say the ethics or things of that nature? Because, I know where I stand on this, but what would you say to that?
To send someone to go do an interview?
Yeah.
Not the right thing to do? I guess.
No, I'm asking. I'm just saying that, there might be some people on the call or that listen in on this in the future and go, I don't know if that's the right thing to do. Like, you're sneaking around to find out what the competition is doing. What would you say?
I would say, wouldn't you want to know your competition at the end of the day? Wouldn't you want to know that you're bringing something better to the table than they are? That's my point. Not to be a dick, and it sounds horrible. It really does.
Peter's like,
anyway, personally, by saying this, I've done it with 2 companies, but they won't work with me. So my goal is to make sure they don't have work, period. And I've done it with 2 companies. That sounds cruel, it sounds harsh, but at the end of the day, the famous phrase is just business.
Would you do it with somebody that's partnered with you?
Well, kind of. Yeah.
Well, okay. So here's, guys, again, this might be crossing the line, but hey, I put it out there.
No, it's not. I got one chance on this earth, dude.
No, dude, I get it. Let me just say this. If we were going back in the day, and I'm not saying everybody needs to be in sports, but I'm just going to use it as an example. Right? If the coach wants to go win the cup, the Stanley Cup, what do they do? What do they do? They study their competition.
And they send scouts.
and they send scouts, and they understand, and they look at their websites, and they people say to me, hey, Andrew, I've lost an employee or two, and where's Dan? I wish Dan was on this. Is this Dan? Dan Feck. Is that you? This is Dan? Is that you, Dan? If it is, just say, yes, it's me. Okay, losing people to the competition. You need to know why you lost them. Okay? I remember Sean, I don't know if Sean's on this call, okay, Limerick, but Sean was talking about, losing people, not being able to land people. And, coach, it's bad out there. I can't find anybody, okay? I said, Sean, guys, this is harsh to say, and I know he's going to be okay with me saying it. I said, Sean, dude, it's time you look in the mirror. What do you mean? Well, do you know why people are leaving you? Well, Sean, I'm going to tell you part of the reason why. You're way too anal. You're micromanaging these people. And I mean, honestly, dude, I wouldn't work for you. You're really good at what you do. But the problem is that you're like the guy, right? You're upping everybody out in the field because you're that good. Dude, people aren't going to stay. So you've got to understand, your competition, what they do, what they offer. You got to know what you can do differently. Otherwise, guys, you're not going to win the game. This is not even playing some game of sports. This is the game of your business and your life. So I've got no problem with anybody doing these kind of scouting things, with understanding their competition. You should know your competition. And you need to know them and track them, not just once, Jesse, right? But throughout the journey, because things change.
Well, that's the thing. If what you're doing gets out and then all of a sudden they start doing it, you got to up your game.
Competition's a great thing because it makes you better, doesn't it?
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, it's hard enough as it is with obtaining team members because of the dwindling effect of college versus, trade school. It's hard enough to get that. So you've got to figure out something to grow. And the best thing approach, and I can tell anybody this hands down, grow from the inside out. Do not grow from the outside in. It does not work. I've tried it twice. It's cost me thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars and cost me a lot of hours where I had to pick up. You have a core team. Grow them up before you bring somebody in. Do not bring somebody in over them because you don't even have that relationship with them.
Totally. And your team, Jesse, will protect each other. When you go from the inside out, they will protect each other.
Yep.
How's that?
They don't like someone new coming in. It's just like I don't know, what is that? What do they do? Like mating season in elk and white till a new buck comes in. I mean, they fight. They protect their herd. It's the same sequence.
Well, especially if there's skin in the game. And it's not just financial, guys. It's not just financial. Notice those KPIs. Part of the net is money, but those KPIs are way beyond just making money. It's about them stepping it up and being leaders. Okay, so we've gone over, guys, big time. Jesse, thanks so much for your time. Bro, everybody, let's give a big thanks to Jesse. I want to see, I'll give you 20 seconds. Guys, thank this guy for giving you guys gold, okay? Yes, along the way, and I'm not taking, nor is Liam or us taking all the credit, but yes, we plant seeds. He shows up. He participates. He goes to these events. He asks for help. Right, Jesse?
Yeah, I asked for help the other day. I was emailing you and Lime about some shit I had going on. And I mean, the power of no or I don't know. I mean, and finally I've got my team to say, I need help. But I had an example yesterday. They went to another team member. They didn't even come to me. Loved it.
They love it. Love it. Okay, so huge thanks, Alex says. Thanks, Jesse. Connor, thanks, man. Jason says thanks.
You're welcome, guys. My email's on there. If y'all need anything, I'll try to get back to you.
Guys, look, if you got questions, here's the thing. Hold the phone on the email, okay? I'm going to tell you right now. I do not want you fucking emailing. Sorry. I don't want you emailing Jesse. Post this stuff in the group so that other people can benefit. Does that make sense? Maybe your question has relevance to somebody else, okay? But, back to... I'm preaching the whole idea of culture and building from the inside out. Okay, and that's what this is about. So Jesse, brother, love you to death, man. I can't wait to see you down at the client event, maybe if not sooner. And again, you're doing a great job. Keep it up. And I know there's a way to go, but you've definitely made a pathway for a lot of people of success. And thanks, guys, for showing up. That's part of the big T, showing up. All right, we'll catch you on the flip, everybody. Thanks, Jesse.
All right.
Later.
See ya.
Hey, bro.